Every lesson is a lyric in the universal song. Oh, the lessons of the journey, I'll weave them in my song.
Hi, welcome back to Lessons of the Journey with Coach Nicole and Coach Jen. Or if you're joining us for the first time, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to our Coaches Picks episode, where Nicole and I revisit conversations that still stand out to us as game changers.
So the episode that I chose, number 13, Habits and How to Adjust Them for an Optimal Life, is one I keep coming back to. If you've ever tried to change something in your life, whether it's how you show up in the morning, what you reach for when you're stressed, or how you spend your evenings, you know it's not just about deciding to do something different. It's about facing the momentum of what's already in place and choosing to rewrite the script anyway. This episode is a powerful place to begin your self-reflection journey because so much of who we are is built on our daily habitual actions. Not the big goals or the grand gestures, but the things we do over and over again without even thinking. And changing those patterns, it takes energy. You'll hear my co-host Jen say something I think about all the time. You can't change a habit with less energy than you used to create it. And I would add, or less energy than they're currently using to keep it alive. There is so much truth and wisdom in this advice. Lasting change requires intention, effort, and a bit of grace for the times you get it wrong. In this episode, I break down my personal framework, what I call the 7 S's of habit formation, and give you some powerful questions to ask yourself when creating, changing, or adjusting habits of your own. Those 7 S's are share it, small steps, short up, set up, side by side, say no, and slack. You're going to have to listen to hear the details. I considered what I might add to this episode, but honestly, I feel we did such a thorough job that we didn't leave much out. Of course, habit formation is a deep and complex topic, so there's always more to explore, but this episode lays a solid foundation. If you are ready to dive deeper, I've created a guided journal that pairs with this episode. It's called Small Steps, Big Life, and it's available now on Amazon. It's part tracker, part mindset guide, and part cheerleader, designed to help you chart the journey, build the habit, and live the life you want to create. You'll find the link in the show notes. Now, let's get into it. Where do we start today?
Well, you and I are coaches, so we're really big on creating habits that get you where you want to go. We could go back to calendaring, which is a really big thing, which is a habit unto itself. Oh gosh, this changed my life. What am I doing next? I don't know. I look at my calendar. That's what I'm doing next. And it took a long time for me to get into that habit. Should we start with how do we create a new habit? Okay, this thing is happening in my life and I want it to change. So how do I go about creating a different habit?
It's actually a really good spot to start. We did an episode on goal setting, and generally people will say, okay, I have a goal, and some are individual things that have to be done, just one-offs, but most goals are based in the sense of I have to change a habit in my life. Something has to shift. Usually when we say that, what we're saying is we need to either eliminate a habit or bring in a habit. When we're talking about goal setting, we break goal setting down into the smaller steps of what are the habits we need to change. Then when we need to change something, what you were referring to, Jen, is going back to the calendar of what are we doing? What does our habitual morning look like? Are we incorporating what we want, or afternoon or evening, whatever part of the day is? For you and I, we just use the calendar as a tool because it just makes it so much easier to say, okay, I want to change this habit. Well, if I shift it in my calendar, then it's there and I don't have to think about it. Just pointing out that that's how I guess it's intertwined for me. The goal is the bigger picture. The habit is the daily activity I need to shift. The calendar is the tool I use to tell me every day, shift that.
Great distinction.
What's funny is I forget that I am changing a habit. You know what my calendar never does? It never forgets because it's literally technology just telling me whatever I told it to tell me. That's why I like that tool. Yes. Creating a habit. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. First, I'd like to say one at a time, please. Let's change one habit at a time. Very often we get so frustrated all at once and we go, everything has to change. It's not going to work. We got to do one at a time. I think what we do as coaches is we help you identify what those individual things are and help you shift those one at a time. Doing too much all at once, it's going to set you up for failure. Unfortunately, that's part of our humanness. All of it's got to go. We got to do everything all at once. And
Right.
That's not going to work. It certainly helps to identify the individual habits that need a change, a shift, a move, a complete drastic makeover, and start from there. What are your thoughts, Nicole?
I am in 1,000% agreement. You and I have talked about this before, and I will probably reference our goal setting podcast a few times because these are so intertwined. And we were very much having that conversation then too, because if we say, okay, I have 25 habits and I either want to change them, eliminate them, or bring them in, okay, you may as well do nothing, because I guarantee you in 3 weeks, you'll be doing nothing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that a coach will do, and this is very much in Jen and I's realm, is we will go in and ask the questions to figure out what's the habit that's going to have the biggest effect, the biggest impact, and the one thing you can really focus on. I'm a huge proponent of the book, The One Thing. I'm very much about when we find that one thing that has the greatest impact. So yes, 1,000%. If you're going to change 25 habits, just don't. Just trust us. Just don't. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah, let's talk about that 25. Usually the 25, really, it's not 25. Our brains do this. Well, it's this and this and this and that. Whereas to Nicole's point here, really what we want to do is we want to reel that into what is the one that's going to make the biggest impact, because almost guaranteed finding that correct one will then impact the other 24 very drastically or naturally. Those will shift and you won't have to put so much energy into what we think. We often get so deer in the headlights. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. And what Nicole's saying is you're not going to do it. There's too much to think about. We are simple people. Our realities are created by the habits that we have in our lives. If you're not happy with what is going on in your life right now, whether it's in your personal life, in your business, in any other relationship, it's more than likely related to a habit that could use a shift for you, or a habit that is no longer serving you. That's not to say that it didn't before. These habits that we create, they were created for a reason. We are simple yet brilliant in that they came from somewhere because they had to. They were necessary at some point for us. And did it then turn into this Frankenstein monster that doesn't necessarily serve us anymore? Sometimes we have to reel these in and go, okay, I probably started this for a good reason and it veered off. And now I need to reel myself back in, and we're going to get ourselves back on track with one at a time.
Yes. Two things come to mind. One is we as humans cannot see the forest for the trees. We are sitting in our forest, looking around, seeing the trees around us. We don't see the bigger picture. And sometimes that can be incredibly difficult because we can't see what's going on. So having that clarity is really important, and it takes some time for a human to actually lift themselves up to that 10,000 point in their own life and say, okay, how do I look at the big picture? Again, going back to the goal setting, we talked about the 7 circles of life. I think that's a great place to start. I got to pull myself back and see. We have our blinders on. We are going through life and we're knowing 25 things are wrong. Jen's right. It's not 25 things are wrong, because many of them are tied, and we can probably figure out what is that one thing. That's really important. Some people have the ability to do that. They can self-reflect in that way. And it's a skill. It's a learned skill. Being able to say, hey, here's 25 things I want to change. If I write them all down, what am I seeing as the thread that connects them? Some of them are habits we want to eliminate. Some of them are habits we need to bring in that we don't even know we need to bring in. Here's the other thing I would say. I'm redoing my pantry. I'm like, this is so disorganized. Isn't it funny how we go through our life and how often do we reorganize our life and say, this is serving, this is not? We will do it with our physical space. And doesn't it feel incredible? Like go through a room and you'll be like, I don't use this anymore. I'm going to donate that, give that away. And I'm going to reorganize and I'm going to move this around. And it feels so fresh and it feels so good. But how often do we do that with ourselves? With our lives, taking that time to go, what are the things that I am doing in my life that are or are not serving us? because you are 100% correct. And the fact that we can have these things that are habits that served us in the past, but are no longer serving the direction we are going. What direction are you going, and how are your habits serving the direction you're going? That's what was brought up for my brain.
That's the most empowering way to go about it. And yet we find often forced into having to change a habit for one reason or another, in that it's not serving us. The doctor says, hey, your blood pressure is da 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 da. I'm going to have to put you on some medicine if you don't go change your lifestyle. And you're like, now I feel forced. And this is so important. When you're not coming from a place of power and you feel like you have to do something, you turn back into almost like a little kid again. Like your parents are telling you what to do and you're like, I'd rather not because it wasn't my decision. And then we fight it. We fight the change. I don't want to go on medication, but I don't want to change the way that I do things. You cannot change a habit with less power than you created the habit with. I think that that's a really important thing to note. If your doctor's telling you, hey, we got some medication that's going to have to happen for you, if you're not able to, then we need to take our power back and decide, okay, this is something that I, in fact, want to do for whatever reason, longevity, stay around for my kids, want to be there for my partner, whatever your power position is, we need to find that within ourselves in order to then change or create a new habit. It sucks being told that you got to do something. I'm an adult. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me I can't have my ice cream at night.
I think you bring up such an important point. I have always believed in the concept of levels, and I always equate this to eating. Let's say you're just one of those people. Let's just own up to it. You drink the soda, you eat the fast food. You're just a crap food eater. And your doctor goes, hey, I need you totally on this other side, eating all the healthy things. And you're on this side going, the healthy stuff tastes like crap. I'm not going to do it because it just doesn't make sense. I had a friend and she had just had her baby and she was craving sugar. She was like, I'm not going to have sugar. She denied herself sugar. So what did she end up doing? Eating a whole damn pie in one sitting. Problem. Instead of saying, okay, you eat crappy, let's take you 10% healthier. Let's just replace the soda. Let's give you something, a fizzy, bubbly thing that you like. Maybe it even has some stevia or something in it to give it that sweetness. Instead of we're going to take you all the way over here, which by the way, unless you have someone literally like you're one of those TV show people who's sitting there being monitored 24/7, that kind of change just doesn't work. It's too extreme for our body. And you're so correct. Our body goes, screw you, I'm in charge. How dare you tell me I'm not in charge? I'm going to do what I need to do to feel safe. And I feel safe here in this crap food space. That's literally my safe place. It seems weird. And to somebody like me, who's kind of almost extremely on the other side, I'm like, but the food is so much better on my side. So I don't understand that. But I can also understand people saying, this is where I'm used to. This is my comfort zone. So when you talk about the power, you also talk about comfort zone. And there is huge power in our comfort zones. Look, my pantry served me well for the last 2 years. It's not like I'm looking at it going, this thing's crap for 2 years. Nope, I got everything I need. Yet I'm going, this thing needs to be refreshed. That's me refreshing it. So you got to be the person to choose the refresh. You got to be the person who says, I am going to make some changes, but I'm going to make them in a gradual level that serves me. And I get frustrated with doctors. I'm like, I get it, but it's like, why didn't you have this conversation 10 years ago? Sorry, not a doctor. I just know a lot about habits. And I think habit formation, you have to be careful with that extremity. And that's why we see 25 things. Usually the doctor's going, give up soda, give up fast food, give up this, eat all natural. And you've heard these people complain. They're like, it tastes like crap. It sucks. Blah, you know, and they're pissed.
Well, it feels like a punishment.
Absolutely.
And nobody wants to be punished for living a life that they feel comfort in. It almost takes us back to little wounded children who just didn't get the attention that we needed. And we're taking our power back, whether it be bad food choices, and we happen to be on the food chain right now, but any other habit that is not serving your highest health, wealth, abilities. Any habit, when we feel like we're being punished for the things we're doing, it makes us feel less than. And that's definitely not going to serve us in finding our power in order to make these changes. Yet very often we hear these folks go, I know I eat crap. or I'm so busy, or the fast food line is just easier than remembering to get the chicken out in the morning and defrost it. And oh gosh, the kids and the practices. I hear you. I get it.
Sometimes it's just the simplicity of, I'm going to be a better mom if I can go through the fast food line. I can serve my kids better in the rest of the realm of everything I'm supposed to be doing if I can get fast food. Sometimes it's a trade-off too. No judgment.
Yeah.
My judgment is on what is causing the change and do you have the power over it? Because I think that is so important.
The important thing to note here is that nobody can make it for you. You have to decide that it is important enough, whichever habit, whether the doctor told you or you're sitting there taking inventory of your life and not really particularly happy with one thing or another, you are the only one that can decide that it's important enough to do something about. And we as coaches, we hear people complain. And then when we pose the question, well, is this important enough to do something about? Well, then there's a lot of backpedaling. Then there's a lot of, I don't know, that would be just a little more difficult or a little less interesting. I'm not going to let you get away with it. You know, even my friends know this. If I hear you talk about the same thing over and over and over, one day I'm going to say, hi, I'm putting my coach hat on. You didn't ask me to, but I cannot listen to you do this anymore. I can't. You either don't bring it to me or you do something about it. And I will certainly help you with that other one, but don't bring it to me if all you want to do is bitch about it. And at a certain point, I'm the friend that's like, are you going to do something about it? Or are you just going to let this be? Because I can't. I don't even like when I hear myself say the same thing 3 times in a row. I'm like, oh man, I've said that too many times. I need to do something about this.
Yep. It's like I can't with myself even.
Yeah.
I hear you. So let's talk a little bit about the formation of a habit, because there's a really interesting concept, and I'm sure you've heard this, Jen. It takes 21 days to form a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is not accurate, but I wanted to find out, where did this come from? So this is a really interesting story. This is from Scientific American. The origin of the 3-week theory has nothing to do with habits per se. It apparently originated from the 1960s self-help book Psycho-Cybernetics, in which plastic surgeon Maxwell Maltz observed that it took his patients about 21 days to get used to their new appearance after surgery. No formal experiment was conducted to verify this, but the book applied this 21-day timeline to self-transformation in many other wide-ranging aspects of life.
Lord.
For instance, the book also set 3 weeks as the time needed for people to get used to a new house or change their mind about their beliefs. Even without much solid research, the 21-day myth became widely accepted. It likely persisted because it seems like such a reasonable amount of time. Establishing a regular exercise habit in just 3 days seems too quick and implausible, but a year, it's too long and daunting. So the 21 days basically stuck, and this is why. So how long does it actually take to form a habit? Let's talk about that, because I think it's interesting. The scientific studies so far are showing that it takes between 18 days and 254 days. I'm going to repeat that. Between 18 and 254 days. Okay, honestly, that seems much more realistic. The average, though, I thought this was great. The average is 66 days. But the company we were previous with, that was the whole thing, was a 66-day habit change.
Yeah.
It's not always 66 days, though. You start thinking about habits. And if I want to change a habit, let's say I'm taking one habit and I'm going to change it into something else. Okay, well, how was that habit originally formed? How deeply seated is that within me? Have I been doing this since I was a child? Was this something that was given to me by my parents? It was then reaffirmed many times. How deeply ingrained is that habit? So many factors involved in how long a habit takes. Because it's 18 to 254 days, I love going with the change something for a year and see what the impact is. Mm-hmm. If you find the right thing to change, it can have a massive impact. Think about it. If you changed 5 habits that affected 25 other things, which, trust me, that's how this works, in 5 years, you'd be changing 125 things. Mm-hmm. So when you feel, I want to change 25 things, and we say, you can really find that one thing that will impact all of it. 5 years, you can change 5 things, can have a major impact on your life. So think of it more in a year.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with nothing and everything. I was listening to this audiobook. You're probably familiar with it. It's called The Psychology of Money. And the bottom line is he talks about compounding. Everything happens because of compounding. You get rich because of compounding. You become poor because of it. And I just started applying that to every aspect of my life. Like, how do relationships get good or turn poor? Compounding. They call it the bank account. You make deposits into the emotional bank account of your partner. It's compounding. I think about that with my kids, the lessons and the discipline, compounding. That's how they grow into functional adults. I mean, compounding friendships, you give and you take and all of that. That's compounding. And I'm sitting here thinking, that's exactly what this is. It's the time after time after time. It's the compounding of all of the shifts that we're making in our lives. The quote is, we overestimate what we can get done in 1 year and underestimate what we can get done in 10 years. What Nicole was talking about, it's so crazy to think in 10 years, this will all be better. No, we want it now. We live in this immediate gratification where it's like, I need to change it. I need to change it now. And I fall into this. Once my awareness becomes aware of it, now it should just get better. Right now, I should just be able to shift the thing. And now I have a new habit and now it's different. And that is certainly not the case. So when Nicole's talking about how deeply rooted in this thing are we, consider that it will take the longer of the 18 days and 200, it will take the longer side of being able to change that habit because it is so deeply ingrained. A silly example. There's 2 different ways to drive my kids to school. Their dad takes the upper way, which is a windy road, and I like to take the straight way because their dad took them to school last year. I take them this year. Upper road, mom, windy road. That is the habit that in their mind, that is the way you get to school. Although clearly I get them to school every day in a different way, but the habit that they've created is that's the way we go is the upper road. What are you doing, mom? And that's silly. They're 5 and 3, but they have decided the way to get to school is the way dad takes them to school. Okay. On the flip side, driving. Who's driven to work and didn't even know that they drove to work? Did not think about the turn, did not have any idea, just went. I regularly will go down my hill and know that I'm going into town and accidentally get in the left-hand turn lane. My habit, without thinking about it, this is a very subconscious thing, is to go down the hill and go the same direction. And I go, shoot, do you know how many times I've had to turn around at the next light? My habit at the bottom of this hill is to go left. I needed to go right today. And that, like little things like that.
I don't think I've ever shared this one on here before. The woman, her mom always taught her when you prep the turkey for Thanksgiving, you cut off the very edge of the top. She's like, I wonder why we do that. So she called her mom and her mom's like, I don't know. That's what grandma taught me. She goes, let me call grandma. And grandma's like, I did that because my pan was too small. Okay, now we're doing things we don't even question. Just a couple individual factors that can actually influence how long it takes for a habit to form. So motivation, we're talking about the empowerment, strong motivation, and a clear understanding of why you want to form the habit can accelerate the process. Loved what you said, Jen, earlier. When the doctor says, hey, you got to stop eating like this and you got to start eating like this, you saying, I want to live for my kids, that's your why. That gives it that motivation piece behind it. Consistency, regular and consistent repetition of the behavior is crucial for habit forming. Absolutely. Personal circumstances. We talked about our past having an influence over it, but also factors like your work schedule, your family responsibilities, and your overall stress levels can impact how quickly you can form a new habit. So these are things that really do affect it. And the last one is previous habits. Existing habits can either facilitate or hinder the formation of new ones. That's important.
Absolutely. As we're talking about habits, y'all know me and my agreements. I'm really in my brain, I'm like, these are agreements. It's the same. It's the things that serve us no longer serves us. It's what was created by our parents, our grandparents, our lineage versus what we've self-created actively or passively. And yeah, we'll keep using the word habits. And we go back to the 4 Agreements podcast. When we talk about what does or does not serve us, sometimes somebody needs to tell us, like the doctor, or sometimes we sit there and take inventory like Nicole just did with her pantry and go, I don't like this anymore. I want to do something about it. Even if it is an ingrained thing, it takes a lot of courage, I think, to decide to do something different. When what we've been doing with the habits, they've served us thus far. It takes a lot of courage to decide, you know what? I don't like this one. I'm going to shift it. And sometimes we don't get it right the first time. Sometimes we go, oh, I want to create a new habit. And that new habit doesn't necessarily do what we thought it was going to do. And we go, oh, shoot, I thought waking up 20 minutes earlier every day was going to give me this much control over my day. And it turns out that this is what I encounter when I wake up 20 minutes earlier. That doesn't actually serve me. What now is a shift that I can make? Just because we've had the courage to say, let's go ahead and shift a habit, doesn't mean that the shift that we're making in that moment is going to be the shift that serves us. I would say be aware of that as well. Pay attention to, is this better for me? Does this do what, in fact, I wanted it to do? That's really important too, is just regular pantry inventory. We're going to call it pantry inventory of our lives and what we're doing on a daily, and really how does it get us to where we want to go? I was just talking to Nicole earlier about the habits that are created in traditional schooling. What kind of habits does that create for our kids? What kind of habits did that create for us? 6 periods, lunch, breaks, recess, the transfer of classes, go when the bell rings, sit down, listen. What kind of habits did that ingrain in us? Because we did it for at least 12 years through high school, if you made it that far, and then into college, which is a totally different system of schooling. So you get these kids into a habit and you go, here's college, pick your classes and go when you want. And you're like, I'm sorry, what? I had to raise my hand to go to the bathroom last year and you want me to do what? Excuse me? We created this habit because this served us in the education system. Until then, you're in a new system and now you have to create new habits. A lot of kids get lost in that because they were never taught how to actively create good habits. And now I'm in school and I don't have my parents waking me up and I don't have somebody choosing my classes and I don't have somebody telling me where to go or what to do. I don't know how to do this. Nobody ever taught me. So let's teach them. How do we do it?
Yeah. That transition is one of the hardest. It's why we see a lot of kids not stay in college, because it's that structure to full autonomy. Guess what? Your teacher don't care if you don't turn in the paper. They're not going to track you down. They're just going to fail you at the end. That level of autonomy is a big transition. I understand that completely. So how do you create the habit? Well, you've got a lot of habits that are created for you. First of all, understanding that. You're correct, Jen, when you say courage. I also think it's acceptance. There has to be a certain level of acceptance to all of the things you were talking about. When I say, okay, I'm going to do X, and then X doesn't quite happen. Okay, let me accept that and let me move forward with that. Or X doesn't serve in the way I thought it would. Okay, let me accept that and let me move forward with that. Courage is acceptance in a lot of ways. Or, wow, I felt really comfortable over here and this makes me feel really uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to accept that I'm uncomfortable. Humans, by nature, our bodies are still made to run away from the lion. So the safety mechanism of I need to be comfortable can really hinder us when forming new habits. And that's why there are many things that affect the ability to form good habits. When we did the goal setting episode, I did my 6 S's. I want to go through really quick. Go watch the goal setting episode if you want to go deep into them. They're the 6 S's of goal setting, but they're actually also the 6 S's of habit formation. I'm going to tell you the question to ask yourself regarding this. So number 1 is shared. Who can I share this new habit with? That accountability piece. Number 2, small steps. Question to ask yourself is, can I break this habit into smaller steps? Because sometimes we want to change something big and massive and it's like, I'm going to do X and it's this huge thing. And it's like, wait, bring it down. You're going to automatically reject change, that small steps. Number 3 is shoring it up. What am I going to do when old habits show up? If I'm eliminating or I'm changing, what am I going to do when the old habit shows up? Have an action plan for that. Set up. The question is, how can I make this easier on myself? I know Jen and I talked about the sleeping in your workout gear. What can I do to make this easier? Side by side is number 5. What can I attach this new habit to? So you're a habitual creature. You're going through your day doing your habits, 100%. What can you attach a new habit to? Something that you already do. That's the side by side. Number 6 is say no. What habit can I say no to so I can say yes to this habit? We've got to think of that replace. We talk about erase, replace in our calendar all the time.
Yes.
And my bonus is slack. How will I treat myself when I don't follow through with this new habit? Please have that conversation with yourself, because I want you to treat yourself with kindness and give yourself some slack. A lot of people are really good at beating themselves up. I wouldn't have any idea what that's about because I only do it 99% of the time. My husband's like, I don't have to say anything to you. You're so good at beating yourself up. I'm so good at that. So have the conversation. How am I going to treat myself? You know what? I'm going to treat myself with kindness and compassion. I'm going to say, hey, we're trying something new and maybe it's a little scary. And it's so funny how the littlest habits can actually be the scariest things to change in our lives. But we are creatures of consistency and comfort. And anything that takes us out of that is always going to feel a little scary. That's what Jen was talking about, the courage. I think these are helpful. If you want to hear a lot more about them, you can go back to the goal setting episode, but they help.
They really do. And I would like to drone on more about how you treat yourself when you don't do the thing that you are intending to do. Because like Nicole, I am my own worst critic. So I have extremely high expectations of myself. You heard me mention before, when my awareness kicks in, I go, okay, that's it. I should change it now. You hear that should? So much judgment. We are just so nasty to ourselves sometimes. We have our own version of the way that we want to be. And when we fall short of that because we are human, living human lives with other humans around us, when we fall short of that, we go, oh, that thing, that version of me that I missed again today, I am awful. That self-talk, that negativity creeps in, and that thing right there is poison. Whereas it took me 44 years to recognize that, number one, nothing ever leaves us unless we've been able to acknowledge the purpose that it had in our lives and thank it for getting us to where we've gotten and say, I'm good. I don't need you anymore. So here's what I'm going to do instead. I know that you're going to be sad leaving me. When you come visit me again, I'll say hi. I'll be like, remember, I said no. Those are the types of conversations I would have with my children. Why am I so nasty to myself? Why would I ever want to model to little people in front of me that being human is inherently wrong? You were born into this human body. This is such natural stuff that happens. I really want to acknowledge, oh yeah, that thing that I was trying to change, that came back. Bummer. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. It's Ed Milet, The Power of One More. So when we set these, like, I'm going to do it for 1 year, don't do that to yourself. Decide every day that that's the new habit that you want to create. I have found that that is the way that things happen slowly and surely in our lives, is when we actively decide, okay, today I'm going to do that thing again. Okay, today I'm going to do that thing again. And watch yourself go, today I'm doing that thing again. It really is a more powerful way. That's why New Year resolutions don't last, because you're like, oh, a year?
Do that.
Jeez. And I've never been through a 12-step program, but my understanding is that it's literally day by day, hour by hour. When you consider that you're changing something so dramatic that you yourself is perceived to have survived on, you really do have to make active choices daily and sometimes hourly. I was going to go on a 45-minute walk today and I'm 30 minutes in and I just want to go home. Okay, right now I'm going to decide that I got 15 more minutes in me. And I'm not going to decide that for 268 days from now. I'm going to decide that right now, because right now I have the power to make a decision. And right now is that one more time. And when Nicole talks about breaking it down, how small can we make it? Well, we can make it one decision at a time. We can say, I have this or this. I'm going to choose this because that's what I told myself I wanted. So I'm going to stick with it as long as I can. Any thoughts on that?
I would just say that forming habits is a numbers game because we're human. When we talked about having percentages on how often you do it correctly with your kids, do you remember that conversation we were having? I don't have stats on this, but I would estimate that if you get it right 50% of the time and you go for a full year, you're nailing it. That means in a 7-day week, I only got to get it right 4 out of 7 days. If I screw up the other 3, but I keep doing it for a year, I can almost guarantee you at the end of that year, you got a solid habit, because that's all it's going to take to form that habit.
Yeah, I think that bump over the 50%, I love that. It gives you enough information that shifts you into, oh, I see that shift is doing something for me, right? I have new information now. I like those 45-minute walks because I feel better the next day, or I eat less. The impact that those little decisions are making have such a ripple effect in our lives. So when you have this additional 50% information, you're like, oh, I feel different. I'm acting different. I'm looking at things different. And that's just enough information to be like, maybe I'm doing something all right.
It is so true. And think about it. So forming habit, 18 to 254 days. How many days are there in a year? 365. That's 111 days longer than it actually takes to form a habit. Just do it for a year. Stick to it for a year. And so that we pointed out, one of the other things that affects that timing, that 18 to 254 days, is the type of habit you're forming. Complexity. We're talking about simple habits like hand washing or brushing your teeth. These are simple habits. They're going to form fast. We can get this going pretty quickly. Complex habit, working out regularly. We're going more towards the 254. It's not going to happen in 18 days. That's why the gyms are busy in January and only half of February. And then the gyms aren't busy anymore, because 6 weeks in, they're all gone.
Yep.
That has such an impact. 2 other things, environmental factors and timeframes. When you talk about environmental factors, environmental cues or triggers that prompt the behavior are important for habit formation. So we got to look at our environment. That's when we're talking about the shoring up. You've got to pay attention to what causes me to do this. A lot of our habits are triggered by things in our environment. What's the cue in the environment? How is that affecting it? Setting, performing the behavior in the same place and at the same time can help reinforce the habit, of course. And supportive environment, creating environment that supports a new habit. Like stocking your kitchen with healthy food can make it easier to stick to. If you have the snacks, they've shown this with children. They redo the pantry. I'm on a pantry kick these days. And they put the healthy snacks designed pretty in a basket, and the kids will grab them. If it's the easiest thing to get to, I literally have jars of carrots and cucumbers that are already cut up, ready to go. Just dip them in the salt, because I do eat mine with salt. Ready to go in my fridge. Number 1, it makes my fridge look better. But number 2, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Rather than grabbing some chips in a bowl, it's the simplicity of it. So time frame, just remember 18 to 254 days. Consistency is the key. Even if you miss a day or 2, consistent effort over time is more important than strict adherence to a specific timeline. And like I said, if at the end of 3 months, you can look back and say, I've done this 50% of the time, you're going to have so much more information about the impact. Like Jen was saying, I've had a foot injury, so I've had to change my gym schedule. And when I don't go to the gym in the morning, I snack more at night. There are these patterns that I see myself doing, and I'm like, oh, I need to do sit-ups in my living room every time I want to go get a chip. I haven't committed to it yet. I do have to commit to it if I'm going to make the change.
That's a really good point. Patterns. You may have heard me talk about how I take notes on myself. I know myself the best out of everybody on earth. I know me. I take copious notes on myself. So I know my patterns. If accidentally a new pattern is created, I'm becoming aware of it quickly, because I know myself. I know what causes me to do a thing or not do a thing. I know that when the sky is gray and I wake up in the morning, I am less motivated to go do the things, because I am solar powered. I love the sunshine. I live in Hawaii. I need it. I crave it. It changes my life. My tagline, 6 feet of sunshine. So what happens when we have a gray, cloudy day? This was bad in California when I lived there. I was younger and I wasn't aware. I didn't take these types of notes on myself. I know what my patterns are, how I need to break them, when it might creep up. And you're like, Jen, that's weird. No. Why wouldn't you know all about yourself? Why wouldn't you know that on this day or at this time, or when you eat this food, this is what it does to you? Or when you drink this beverage, this is how you feel. I want to know those things about me because it matters for my life, my children, my performance, the way I can show up for the people who depend on me in my job, the coachees, all of the folks that I'm supposed to have an impact on. All of these things that I'm aware of for myself, my patterns, the way I do things, how things are created in my life, I have to know them so that I can show up and be the best. I think that we all really want that. None of us go, I'm going to be mediocre today. I don't know. Maybe some folks wake up and go, mediocre sounds good. Cool. If that's your jam, do it. But you know what it takes to be mediocre. You know that about yourself. So if you wake up and go, I'm going to be super lazy today, that's your goal. Make it happen. Nothing wrong with needing a lazy day. It's not a bad word at all. I'm just saying that you know these things about yourself. So if you're paying attention to patterns, the most important thing, what are the patterns that create these things that enable me or don't enable me to be the best or to do the habits, create the habits or act on the habits that I have intentionally decided will help me, my life, my family, my children, my job, whatever that looks like. Often you need input. Sometimes, like Nicole was saying, we're so stuck in the forest.
Your fact that you have a habit of tracking like that is amazing.
Oh.
I think that's amazing. And that's a habit. You habitually do that because it gives you the information that you need, that feeds you. And I think it's amazing that you can do that. I don't know if I could ever do that. It feels daunting to me, but of course it's not my comfort zone. I do feel like my self-awareness is pretty high because I'm always going, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. I don't want to know what's going on. I do it a little bit differently than you do, but I think that's an amazing habit to be able to track by writing things down.
Thank you. I don't write anything. Everything's in my Google Calendar, everything. And when I hear daunting, I go, Nicole, I just wrote 8 shit tonight for dinner. That way tomorrow, when I wake up and I go, how do I feel today? Oh, because I had a pint of ice cream last night. It's in the calendar. And yes, that did come from something. I was getting headaches and I went, I got to figure this out. Something has to be attached to this. What am I doing or not doing? When do these things come up? So I got really scientific with myself. I'm like, I got to pay attention to what's going on because I don't like what's happening. In order to change the thing that I don't like, I have to be aware of what is contributing to it. That's how that habit came up. And that was a place of power for me because I wanted to feel better. I didn't need anybody to tell me that I wanted to feel better. I just wanted to feel better. So that was the thing that worked for me in the moment. We've probably talked about that, oh, well, I'm at work all day and this happened. And I've seen it out there in the world on social media too. I'm at work and I end up running behind and I just eat junk for lunch because I always forget my lunch and I know I could eat healthier, but I forget my lunch. And you've heard me say, well, okay, we put your car keys on your prepared lunch in your refrigerator. That's a new habit. Oh, I don't want to eat fast food. So we're going to reverse these things. Like what Nicole was saying, what is the thing that I want to change? Well, I don't want to eat fast food at lunch. Great. Take your lunch. Well, I would, except for I forget it every day because I'm always running late in the morning. Great. Do you drive to work? Yes. Put your keys on your lunch. You're not going to forget your lunch. Done. Now, there's a lot more that goes into that, but
yes. they're not that quick.
That's the progression. People put your keys in the refrigerator. Does it work for you? That changed the habit that you were looking to change. We could come up with many other ways, and this works for this particular person. You do it. I think that we also get stuck in how. How do I change a habit? How do I decide which habits to change? It's what is impacting you the most and how do you feel about it and where do you want to go with it?
Yeah. There has to be a starting point. For me, with most of my clients, the starting point is the goals and checking out their 7 circles and where are they and what do they want to see impacted the most? Because that's the question. Even just starting from that point, most people don't take the time to look at themselves like they do their pantry and say, how do I make this more efficient? Okay, well, just do the 7 circles and rate yourself and then say, okay, I want to improve this one area of my life. What would my goal be? If I could wave the wand and make that exactly how I wanted it to be, what would be different? And then you say, okay, so how does that differ from where you are right now? And you reverse engineer that. Or if I could wave the wand and in 10 years, because you are absolutely right, in 5 to 10 years, we can make massive changes because of compounding interest. Another conversation I love. If I could wave the magic wand and in 10 years, it looked exactly the way I wanted it to, how would it look? Okay, now let's reverse engineer that. And then we take it smaller, 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 and we go, okay, there's the habit. We come up with the habit, and then we figure out how to adjust it. And then you have to look at it. That's why Slack is so important, because the majority of people will say, I'm going to change habit X. And then they go and they fail and they go, oh, I can't change my habits. I'm done. And you're like, yeah, you're going to fail 25,000 times before you get it right. You got to just keep going. And my dad, he said, when you want to change a habit, the first thing you say is, I want to change this. And he goes, and then you mess it up and you go, oh, I was supposed to change that. And then you mess it up and you go, oh, I was supposed to change that. And you mess it up and you go, oh, I was supposed to change that. And you start to think about it like you're doing it. And you go, oh, wait, I'm changing this. Well, wait, I'm changing this. And it starts to back up. That timeline will back up for you and start to become, oh, I'm doing this instead. Oh, I'm doing this instead. And suddenly it's habitual. But that in itself, moving it from the, oh, wait, I screwed that up. I was supposed to do that way back then. It's a backtracking, and that backtracking is the hard part, is the process of it takes all that time. So how do you make that time shorter is you follow things like the S's. You do those things ahead of time. You go, okay, first of all, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to give myself some slack. When I mess it up, I'm going to go, oh, human, but I'm going to change it next time. And you give yourself permission to say that 1,000 times. And then you go, what didn't I do? You know what? I didn't have an alternative when that old habit showed up. Whoops.
Yes.
If you do the research, if you do the time, if you pay attention to these things, it just makes your life easier. And it probably cuts down the 254 days. That's all we're trying to help you with.
It does. Yeah. And that's where most people fail. They're not prepared to make the shift. And you touch on something I want to reflect on. And it's the idea of unable versus unwilling. You said, oh, I tried it, I can't do it. And then we label. And one of my favorite true things that I believe in is you are whatever comes after I am. So when you say, I am not able to change my habits, you have then just created that for yourself. And most of us don't like to be super honest with ourselves. We go, oh, I tried, I can't, it's just me. And we take that and we go, oh, that's part of who I am. And that's just all I'll ever be. When really, you're just unwilling to continue to try. That's what you are. You're unwilling. So it didn't matter enough to you to continue. And here's me saying, I get it. It's okay. But don't fool yourself. Do not think that I'm not sitting here going, you could try again. And we have this society that looks down on the idea of failure, when in fact, failure gives us so much good information. All of the amazing scientific discoveries of all time happened because of massive failure 1,000,000 times before that. We do this as a society, or even just as humans. We go, I failed. Oh, that thing that I set out to do, I failed. Can I tell you, a fourth grader came home and they had, I love this in school, they had an assignment to learn what amazing thing came out of failure, came out of a failed experiment. So he comes home talking about, did you know silly putty was an accident? Did you know a slinky was an accident? I did know that, but I'm glad you're learning. And look at all these very cool things. And there's so many more. But look at these cool things that came out of failure. We set ourselves up in one direction and that didn't work. And look at all of the stuff that we learned. Look at the way we can move and shift because we failed at that particular task. It is so much good information. So if you do fail on a day where you were trying to do a habit, what did you learn in that moment about yourself, about your circumstances, about what you wanted or needed or did have or didn't have, how you can set yourself up differently, and then move about it like it's a science experiment. Ooh, that chemical didn't work. That exploded. Let's try this one. Right? I think that it's really important. Are you unable? Probably not. More likely unwilling. And change the definition of failure in your mind. You are not a failure. It is not your essence. You learn and you try again. That is life.
I would say there is nothing in your physical world that you could find that was not created after a failed attempt. Nothing gets it perfect on the first time. Nothing. There is nothing. Anything you touch, your computer, your desk, your phone, your tea, your light, they were all created after many failures. This concept that this all just happened once, it's a lie. Nothing was created on that first time. Nothing. Find me one thing. I got to Google that because I'm totally thinking.
And if it did, it was an accident, and cool, let it be.
Exactly. Unless you're talking about like silly putty, because they weren't trying to invent that. That's the only things you will find that were created on the first time because they were accidents. But the actual physical things that were created, paper, pens, it was not the first time. I guarantee you.
I love to bake. I sit there and I look at a recipe and I'm like, how many times did somebody try this recipe before they decided that it's 1 tablespoon of this or 3 teaspoons of that? How many other teaspoons did they try? And I do that regularly when I'm following a new recipe. I'm like, somebody took so many different attempts at this before they got it right. And then they had to try it and they were like, more salt or whatever. I think about that regularly. We can look at it like you're creating a recipe in your life for what works. And you're going to try, and it might be too salty sometimes. This is a dumb analogy, but you know what I mean?
It works. We've all had bad baked goods.
Yes. You're looking at the ingredients of your life, which are your habits, and what are they? And are they serving you? Are they serving the recipe of your life? And I think that's it. So many people had to try so many different things. And also, not everything works the same for everybody. The workout regimen that men follow do not work for women because women are not small men. Thank you, Dr. Stacy Sims. Everything is different for everybody. You are different emotionally, physically. So just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work the same for you. Sometimes it might, sometimes it won't. That's okay too. We're individual beings. So you got to find what works for you. And that's another important thing. You are not a complete failure because you tried this one workout regimen that so-and-so did that worked really well and it didn't work for you. Well, maybe you have to modify an exercise, or maybe you have to eat some protein before you work out, or maybe you have a different formula, and that's okay. It's not a one size fits all. Somebody else's habits may not serve you and vice versa. Really, you got to figure out what it is that takes you where you want to go. Reverse engineer it, like Nicole said, and change one thing at a time.
Agreed. You brought something up, and I want to discuss this a little further. I always say the lies we tell ourselves. As humans, we do have a tendency to lie to ourselves, but there is a lie that has been perpetuated in our society. And that's when people say, I can't change. You changing. You just don't know how and what direction, and you're defaulting your changes. No human is consistently staying the same in their life. Things are changing. They may change slower than other people. They may change in a direction you don't want, but you are changing. So stop saying, I cannot change, because you're human. Your cells are changing. Your skin is changing. Your brain is changing. Everything is changing. Stop saying, I can't change, because you are changing. You are always in a perpetual change, but are you controlling it? Are you intentionally changing in the direction you want to go? But stop saying you can't change, because that's just not true. You're always changing.
We get really comfortable in what we know, and change is tough. Change is tough with other people. Oh, my friend changed her hair. That's weird for me to look at.
So intentional change is tough, but default change is happening all the time.
Yeah, well, default change is kind of still tough because we're so used to it, and it is happening. It is one of those facts of life. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. Take it in as a truth. Do whatever you need in your brain to go, okay, I may not like it. I accept that I don't like it, and yet it is happening. There are so many things outside of us that we cannot control and that consistently put change into our lives. The economy changes, our kids grow and change, our bodies, like Nicole said, grow and change. Everything is moving and changing, and it's not necessarily things you control. The one thing that you can jump on board with is that it will change. Promise, always. Taxes and change. That is what we can, that is what we can count on.
Guaranteed. I want to bring up something. I listened to a podcast on Hidden Brain, and this woman was studying what's called habituation. I want to read you the definition of habituating because I learned two things that I thought would be worth sharing today. To habituate is to make or become accustomed or used to something. Let me put it in layman's term for you. You walk into a room, something stinks. You go, oh, that stinks, but you have to sit in the room. 10 minutes later, you don't even smell it. Okay. That's your body habituating to what's happening. So there are two things in the world that we do so wrong. I thought this was so interesting. When we have to do something uncomfortable, we have a tendency to start and stop and start and stop, which is the exact opposite of how we should do it. Because when we're doing something difficult or painful, if we just kept doing it, it would actually be easier because we habituate to the pain or the discomfort of it. So when you got to do something uncomfortable, give yourself the time to do it and just do the whole thing at once. I know that sounds counterproductive. But here's the other thing we do wrong. They did a study and they said to people, hey, what's your favorite song? And they'd say, oh, I love the song Believer. Do you think it would be better to listen to the entire song? Or do you think you would enjoy it more if you listened to it and had breaks in between? And they were like, I want to listen to the whole song, of course, because that's how we think. You actually enjoy it more when you have breaks. And the reason is because you habituate to it. So you're 30 seconds in and you're habituating to the joy and you're not feeling as much joy. The joy level's going down. But if you stop and then you come back to the song, you're excited again. So we have a tendency to do all of the things that we love in one giant bulk and not break it up. And then we take the difficult things in life and we break them up. I thought this was such interesting information. You habituate to things. Here's the way I've thought about it. Okay, I come into a room and there's a candle and it smells beautiful. Well, you know what? After 5 minutes, leave the room and come back in. Then you'll smell the candle again because you're no longer habituated to it. So we got to start taking more breaks with the things that we love doing and less breaks with the things that we don't love doing. I just thought that was interesting, and it's counterproductive to the way we generally do things.
Here I am going, oh, my kids are laughing. Let's enjoy the laughter. And then all of a sudden it turns to fighting and screaming. I could have cut you off at the laughter and we could have come back to this. Oh, we're laughing. We're having fun. Great. Get another ha-ha in. Let's change activities. That's funny. You know, when you were talking about breaking up unpleasant things, I thought about giving birth. You're right. We don't go, I'm done with this. I'll come back to it. You're like, get it out now.
Well, the painful things, we want to stick with it when there's a life involved. The doctor's doing surgery going, this is difficult. I'm going to take a break. Our brains go in really bad directions sometimes. Just something to think about as you're doing your life.
I love good food, really tasty. So I used to do this thing where I'll look at the plate and I'll be like, that right there, that's the best bite. I'm going to save that till the end. I don't eat a lot all at once. I found myself being too full to enjoy that best bite. I'd be like, ugh, I'm so full. I have to eat that. Whereas I intentionally, that is the one that is going to be the best one. That is the taste I want left in my mouth before I leave this table. And I went, ugh. And then I'm too full and I'll eat it because it was the best bite, but then it didn't give me the joy that I wanted to. I should have just eaten the damn thing and enjoyed it. That came up too when you're like, take a break. I don't think that we're talking about eliminating the joy, right? We're talking about like coming back to it over and over.
Yeah, let me give you an example. You go to a restaurant, you order dessert, cut it in half and take half home with you. You eat half there, and if you share it with somebody else, because the first bite's always the best when it comes to dessert, you'll notice. Then you go home, and the next day you have the other half. Now you've had double the pleasure. If you had sat there and just eaten the whole thing sitting there, you would not have had as much joy.
That's good. I think that's my takeaway today, Nicole.
That's your takeaway? I just thought it was interesting enough information to share. Take it as you will moving forward. But that was my aha. We've been doing this kind of backwards. So how can I flip the switch on that?
So I wonder, my 3-year-old, when he loves a song, he loves a song. It is the only song that can play. And the rest of us are like,
done with the song. Sorry, Alexa won't play that anymore.
Yeah. Max will be listening. Then about a weekend, my 5-year-old will be like, Mom, I don't like that song anymore. I can't listen to it anymore. He doesn't even like it anymore. But the 3-year-old is on it For a year, he's like, that's the song. We've all enjoyed this in my household. We're like, please pick a different song. But my 5-year-old will then no longer want anything to do with that song ever again. Does that play into a version of habituation?
I think that's a different thing. Remember Blue's Clues?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that show? So they
Yeah.
used to play the same show 5 days in a row. They would actually repeat the show because what they found was their target audience, which was that 3 to 5-year-old, they want to watch the same thing for 5 days in a row. They want to repeat. I mean, what do the little ones do? Can I watch this movie again and again and again and again and again and again?
Mm-hmm.
That animated movie of Robin Hood, I could, little Robin Hood, and the bar, what a day. I saw that movie 5,000 times because my oldest was hooked on that movie. It's that repetition that helps them learn. That's a learning thing that has to do with the way their brains are forming. You'd have to look a little more deeper into it, but we're not working on the same things that the little ones are. But yeah, don't you hate the song after a while too? You're just like, okay, not a fan.
Yes. Feel a little tweaky when it comes on.
Heard it 25 times, tired of the song. Yeah. That's a different thing because you're dealing with children. And I just remember listening to that about the Blue's Clues. That's why that was such a popular show, because they put the same one Monday through Friday, same episode. Yeah. Something about repetition.
I didn't know that. My kids never watched that one. Interesting.
Yeah. That was a while back. That was my kids.
I am going to, because I like to experiment in my life, I'm going to take this information of habituation and think on it and see how I might be able to apply it. And if I come back to you more joyful the next time.
You'll be like, I'm doing it.
I'm doing
listening to the song and pausing it and then going to clean and then coming back and hitting play. Yeah, let me know how that goes. That's cool. I would say my takeaway from today is just, I always like to be reminded of the bigger picture of how the goals and the habits and the calendar all intertwine. I'm in the trees of doing it. So sometimes I forget that bigger picture, and I love to have that, oh yeah, this feeds this and this feeds this. And it's such a little cohesive thing. I love it. I don't think about that often in that direction because I'm usually like, okay, we're doing this and then we're doing this and then we're doing this. But then to like go, oh yeah, that's how they all feed each other. It's just fun to be reminded of why we do what we do, I should say.
Yeah. Back to the basics of the way it works. We got to go back sometimes.
And grace. I could always learn that. Like we were talking about, I'm very good at beating myself up, and probably a trauma response. I got a lot of those. Blame it on the mama.
I always do.
Mama trauma.
All right. Are we ready for questions?
I'm ready. I want to ask first.
Okay, go.
Okay. What makes you laugh the most?
Oh, gosh. I am a person who is inclined to laugh just in life. I think I take a lot of joy, which turns into laughter because I have created that. So what makes me laugh the most is your question. I have to say my kids at this point in time. I don't know if that changes as they grow. I have 3, 5, and 10, and they are hilarious. I look at them sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's the reminder of just childlike happiness that as an adult, they make me laugh the most. Not for the dumb. I have all boys, and boys do dumb things and they just crack up at it. Not their dumb jokes or the farts all the time. That's not it. It's just really watching them just enjoy themselves. They're hilarious when they're in it, you know? And that would be it. That would be it. Also, my best friends. We can laugh at nothing. We just like being in the same space sometimes. This really full, huge belly laugh just around people who love you for your full, authentic self. Those are my favorite things. Like my kids really feel that way about me. And then my best friends who feel that way about me. So when I can get in that good, big belly, just very authentic laugh, those are the times where it's happening with my kids or with my best friends.
I like that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. What is a skill or talent you wish you had?
I wish I could sing. Okay, wait. I can sing. I can't sing. Let me clarify. I can't hold a tune. I can sing. You just don't want to hear it. A good singer can make me cry. Somebody with a beautiful voice, I'm always so amazed by. I wish I could sing. And I will, but I should never. But that's the talent I would take, is singing. because it's such an emotional experience for me when somebody's singing and they can sing. Just like touches all the parts and pieces of me. Physically, I can sing. For everybody else's ears, I should never sing. That's where I'm at.
Keep the windows rolled up is what.
Oh no, if you're in the car, you deserve to hear me. I'm gonna let you hear me if you're in the car next to me. I mean, it's, cars and showers. That's my voice. I have a shower voice. I sing in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's the one. I would totally do that.
Okay.
Love it.
Well, we're going to get you some singing lessons and we're going to get you there, Nicole.
It's not going to matter. I think you have to have some pipes to start with, and I definitely do not have them.
I was not given that one. Yeah.
I have the desire. Nice. I have the energy, but I don't have the pipes.
I hear you. Well, we can't have it all, All right. Well,
exactly.
It's time for us to wrap it up.
Thanks for joining us for this conversation. I hope it sparks something meaningful for you. Habits aren't just about willpower. They're about understanding the why behind what you do, and then giving yourself the structure and support to do it differently. And remember what Jen said, the decisions we make have such a ripple effect in our lives. When it comes to habits, this statement could not be more true. Every decision, no matter how small, sets off a chain reaction. Choosing to wake up 15 minutes earlier might lead to a calmer morning. That calmer morning might mean you show up to work more grounded. That grounded energy might lead to better conversations, clearer thinking, or even the confidence to take a risk you've been avoiding. On the flip side, decisions made on autopilot can keep us locked in patterns that don't serve us, or agreements, according to Jen. That snooze button, that extra scroll, that skip meal, they may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they compound, creating momentum in a direction we didn't consciously choose. Habits are, at their core, repeated decisions, and each decision is a tiny vote for the kind of life we're building. That's the ripple effect. You rarely see the impact in the moment, but give it time and it shapes your relationships, your health, your confidence, your future. So when we talk about habit change, we're not just talking about behavior. We're talking about identity. We're talking about direction. And we're talking about consciously choosing what kind of ripple we want to send out into our lives. If you're ready to make that shift in your own life, check out the Small Steps, Big Life Journal. It's available now on Amazon, and it's a powerful tool for anyone wanting to change from the inside out, one small step at a time. And if this episode spoke to you, send it to a friend, a client, or someone who's ready to shift their life from autopilot to intentional action. We're proud of this one. Thanks for being on the journey with us. Until next time, keep growing.
Write your lines with passion, let your spirit freely roam. The lessons of your journey